I'm going through this whole thought process of the income disparity so often talked about on social media, and the idea of the gap widening. Now, one could argue that, well, just do what the rich people do, which you can do. Anyone can do it. Anyone can use the tax code the way they see fit. You all have access to the same amount of information. It's there. It's on the IRS website. Most people will not take the time to read it. Okay? But let's put that aside. Let's assume you get the general knowledge, by watching my videos, of course, because you would be a fool to do otherwise. You get the general knowledge and you start applying yourself. Are you really concerned, if you are a poor person, if you are a brokey, are you really concerned of, if I start buying assets and my relative wealth to the wealthy that I aspire to be, if that starts closing, but as I buy these assets, their wealth starts moving away from me? Is that the concern? Because I don't think it is. I think what it is as you buy assets and the wealthy, say you buy, I don't know, $1 million worth of Amazon stock, but everyone else that already had it at a cheaper price, their asset value goes up, right? So like the benchmark just moves, but it keeps in the same congruency. Are you concerned with that? Or are you concerned with where you are versus where your relative peers are? Because at some point you start going, I hate the rich guy, now I'm doing what the rich guy does. He's up to, I don't know, $1 billion, and I'm up to, I don't know, 100 million. I no longer hate the rich guy. I just don't want to live next to my neighbors, because now my relative wealth versus my neighbor, I have become that my neighbor's wealth is decreasing, right? And mine is going this way. So all of a sudden you started disassociating yourself with, I hate the rich guy, to I no longer fit in with my neighbors where I once did, because I started doing what the rich guy does. And at some point, like Bezos, like Elon, like all these other guys, once you start getting those assets and you start seeing how the game is played, it's a game. Guys, this is like 6-dimensional Monopoly is how money works. Once you understand how the game works, you start going, I need to be creative. And if I want to catch up to that rich guy, I need to create something myself. Now I have the assets to do it. No longer are you going, I just don't want to associate with the poor person. It's, I need speed. So as you kind of progress, as like an evolution of your psychology, really, you start associating more with the 0.001% versus your, the, I don't know, 90th, 99th percentile on the other side of the equation. Because here's what it is. It's not really that the guy who took all the risk, who didn't pay himself for years and put it all on red, and all of a sudden he made it, like he hit and made it. That's not the problem. The problem is the everything else, okay? Because he wasn't really concerned about you. He just played the game better. So here's the everything else. The everything else that you are not doing, if you are in this area and you want to be way over here, growing at an increasingly larger rate, here's some things you need to consider. If you are saving money, Robert Kiyosaki said it best, but he doesn't explain it. I hate that he does that, the rich dad, poor dad guy. He says these like crazy terms, or Grant Cardone, but they don't actually tell you. And I don't know why they don't tell you the little nuances of it, but I'm going to tell you. They say savers are losers, okay? All savers are losers. And he's not saying that you are a loser. What he's saying is, if you are saving money, you are a loser inherently, because your money is losing value. And what that means is, like, the government shut down right now, okay? Because they don't know how much money to print. As they print money, your dollar, I think I might actually have some. somewhere. I keep it in here for when my kids want like ice cream. I don't know. I can't find it. Your dollar loses value. But like what the hell does that mean? I'm not talking about just inflation. Everyone goes, well, it's the inflation rate. It's the cost of goods going up. And it's like, yeah, that's one aspect of it because you're a moron and you don't know anything. So you go to, stocks go up 10%, but the real rate of return is 7% once you back out inflation. It's like, yeah, because you're a fucking simpleton dummy and you don't know shit. So that's why you come up with these things. And that's all you've been told. And so that's where you stop. It's not just that. It is the government prints off about 7 to 10% annually of the money to keep the government alive because half of the workforce works for now the government. If they don't spend all the money, it is not a for-profit company. The government is not for-profit. It is a non-profit. It is a non-profit corporation. Okay, that's what the government is. So if they don't spend the money, they can't ask for more, which means they have to spend all the money and then ask for more. That's why the government shut down, because they're fighting over like $2 trillion that they want to add to the bill. And this happens every year. So they're going to print off more money. It's usually about 10% a year, 7, 8% to 10% a year. They're going to print off more money. That means that your value, say you have $100 in the bank, that just lost $10 in value. And then it's inflation on top of that. So now we're looking at 12, 13% is your actual rate of return. And this is the best part that no one tells you. It is compounded backwards. So a lot of people go like, well, what is compound growth? Compound growth is like, you invest in the S&P 500, you make 10%. It might be 11.2% the next year and the year after that and the year after that and the year after that. And it just keeps growing. It keeps compounding upon itself into the future. It does the exact opposite. This is like the negative side of the yield curve. If you are losing money to inflation and your dollar is losing value because we print it off. Okay. So you're actually compounding negatively. So assume you have $100,000 sitting in cash in the bank. It's not a great deal of money, but for a lot of people it is. It's losing. So in the first year, say it loses 12 grand worth of buying power. Okay, that's what that is. All right. So now you're down to like 88,000. The next year it loses, I don't know, another 12 grand, but it's on top of that money you already lost. But it's 12. It's relative to now you're at 12% of the 88. So it slows down as you go backwards, but you're still significantly going backwards. All the money at the same time, all the money the government prints, all ends up because it goes out to people and services, right? It goes out to the government, who are middle-class people. They spend it on Amazon and Netflix and Google and Domino's and Best Buy, and they spend it at all the insurance companies on Geico and Bank of America on interest payments, and they spend it, right, because they have to keep their alive. It all goes into the market. That's how it works. All the money the government spends it's not trickle-down economics. The government prints the money, which is debt, goes into the economy amongst everyone. It then gets put into profit corporations. Okay, so it's actually the reverse of trickle economics. We don't have trickle economics. It goes into the corporations up to the top, produces a ton of profit, which is not taxable income, and then it pushes the market higher. That's all the market does. All the money that's printed on a day-to-day basis all ends up in the stock market. That's it. That's why the stock market returns 10 to 12%. It actually does like a pleiotrochosis. It's a hard word to pronounce. When it actually goes up like 20, 22% in any given year, and then there's usually some sort of sell-off in economic news, and then it averages around 10 to 12% annually. That's what that is. That's from the government printing off money. It eventually just ends up in the market. So the idea is, if you guys want to escape the rat race, just put your money in the market. Here's the best part, which is what no one else teaches you, is the reason why, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, or Grant Cardone says that you're all losers, is one, because your money's losing value, okay? Year after year, if you're holding on to it. If you're saving it, you're losing money. Unless it's like, I don't even want to get into that. What the wealthy elites do is they systematize all of everything. So their savings accounts basically become the S&P 500, SPY. Everyone uses SPY because it's the American ETF of the S&P 500, because you can't actually buy the S&P 500. You have to buy SPY. And they use that, and then they just take loans against it, tax-free. That's it. That's it. If you guys can get through that, if you bring a company public, if you're Elon Musk, if you're Jeff Bezos, the reason why they only collect $1, okay, as a salary, they get paid in stock, right? Which when you get paid in stock, it forces the stock price up. That's why Larry Ellis just became the richest person in the world, is because, and this is, they did a stock buyback. Normally the company will do it, but he did it with his salary, and he bought the stock, which raised the price, and he made the difference of spread. So how do the wealthy do it? They basically hold all of their money in as like a benchmark in the S&P 500. The government prints off more money to keep the government. Rich people don't work for the government, guys. It's like average middle class people, unless you're like a senator. But even them, they get $140,000 a year, which is basically poverty if you live on the coast. If you live in DC, if you live in Massachusetts, Boston, Miami, New York, Connecticut, anywhere in California, that's poverty, is 140 grand a year. Okay. What do they do with all their money? They buy stock, guys. That's all they do. They buy stock, and then they take loans against it, which is, you could do margin loan, or you can do a securities backed line of credit, SBLOC, in which you put your money up for, you put your stock up for collateral, and then you can loan against it any time. You can take the rate is like, I don't know, 4 or 5%. You don't ever have to pay it off. It's not like a credit card. It'll just accrue interest. But again, if they're printing off the money and 10 to 12% excess, and your valuation's going up with that, and you're getting charged maybe 5%, your money's growing infinitely, and you don't ever have to pay it off. It'll just grow to infinity. Okay, while your assets are growing, the people that aren't invested are dying. That is the wealth distribution. And again, anyone can do this. Anyone. You just have to open a brokerage account, read a book, watch more of the videos. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I will make more content like this for you. Until that time, peace out.